Now, shares of most Chinese stocks have been dropping quite sharply, as I've indicated on a video which I did yesterday. And one of the good things that, of course, we saw is China is trying their almost best to calm investors down and saying that they believe that they will find a solid ground with the US regulator. So investors ought not to panic but remain calm, as they believe also, or as if I can quote, they believe that these sharp falls due to delisting fear is irrational. Now, this is something that I think it should assure you as an investor to say that these short-term headwinds won't last longer, because China, or the Chinese regulators and the US regulators, or China believes that they will get or find a solid ground with the US regulators, which is something that is truly amazing. And of course, we also dive in and check the new sentiment, or the sentiment that Goldman Sachs just announced yesterday, of saying that they still remain bullish on China, or on the Chinese stocks, which is something that has to give you calm, or must not make you to panic when you see these sharp falls, which is something that I think it ought to calm you down and not panic sell these top, or some of the top Chinese stocks. And with all that, just today we read other news that I believe it should let you, at least shows you what the big institutions are doing while you are panicking and selling some of the good Chinese stock. And of course, this latest news came from the Union Bank of Switzerland, or the UBS, which just indicated that Chinese stocks are their most preferred stocks currently. I mean, how good is that? During these times that you and me are panicking about these Chinese stocks, so due to delisting fears, now the institution, or one of the big institutions, and just comes and say that they are very positive on the Chinese stocks. This is something that must tell you that we are going to see these Chinese stocks recovering. There's no doubt about that, because the big institutions, like I always say, they always know or have more information more than us. They always know or have more info when it comes to these stocks, which is why I think it's always wise for you to also look or monitor what the big fishes, the big financial institutions are doing. So this UBS, or this new comment by the Union Bank of Switzerland, indicating that Chinese stocks are their most preferred stocks, just has to show you that a company that we discuss a lot here, like NIO, it's still a very good company, which is just said to do very well. Because you'll remember that the UBS, or Union Bank of Switzerland, they invest in NIO, or one of their companies, or the companies that they invest in China is NIO, which is just simply means that they are also still very bullish on this NIO stock, which is something that is truly amazing, and it has to motivate you. Now, someone might be asking, why is the UBS, or the Union Bank of Switzerland, still very bullish on these Chinese stocks, though they are falling quite sharply? I mean, of course, one of the main things, or main reasons why I think they would do that, is because you will remember that the GDP of China just in 2021 grew by 8.1%, which is something that is truly amazing, because guess what? In 2021, China added $3 trillion to their GDP, which is something that is truly amazing, because as it stands, or in 2021, China full year GDP was around $17.7 trillion, which is something that is truly amazing. China is a country that, though of course there are inflations here and there, and of course there are things happening around the world, this is a country which is doing quite well, which is why I think the UBS, or the Union Bank of Switzerland, it continues to be very bullish in China. I mean, China, of course, you'll remember that even when it comes to EV sales, I mean, of course, you'll know that the total EV sales of 2021 came around 6.6 million, and out of the 6.6 million, 3.4 million only happened, or those were the only sales that took place in China. So China, in terms of EV sales, constituted to over 50%, which is something that must show you that the Chinese economy, or China, it is seriously leading this EV industry, which is something that is truly amazing. And we are going to see, ladies and gents, China continuing to dominate this EV industry. Now, this is another reason that, of course, you will find big institutions like the UBS continuing to be bullish, though the shares of most Chinese stocks have been dropping sharply. This is the reason, or the same reason, why I'm still very bullish on NIO. In fact, one of the things that I was discussing with a friend of mine today is that it's very surprising to see that a lot and lots of retail investors are selling their NIO stock. But if you have to go and check the institutional ownerships or the big financial institutions that own these NIO stocks, they are not going down by much. The total number of institutions that owns this NIO stock, it's still over 800, which is something that must show you that when you are busy selling as a retail investor these NIO stocks, big fishes, big financial institutions are loading the boat on this stock because they believe in its future prospects. They believe on the strong fundamentals that it has. And these headwinds that we're experiencing on NIO, it's a short-term thing. And I believe that in the long term, those that are persevering throughout these headwinds will finally get paid for that, or for this perseverance. So which is something that I think as an investor, like I always say, you always need to think long term, because yes, short term this NIO stock or share price could be hit left, right and center, but in the long term, NIO is a company which is just set to do very well. I mean, on yesterday's video I did cover or indicate to you that the Central Bank of Norway in the Q4 of 2021 added or loaded the boat or added their holdings by over 30%, which is something that is truly amazing. And now they hold shares valued at around $435.5 million, which is something that, like I said, is something that has to motivate you to probably also do the same. Don't become that retail investor who panic sells when they see other retail investors selling. But already, I think one thing that I've always stressed out in these channels is that you need to also make sure that you do your own due diligence, so that you don't just take people or take statements that come out from other retail investors to say that NIO will never go anywhere, NIO is going to $5, of which it can be correctly, but do I care even if NIO gets to $5? I don't care, because I'm investing into NIO for a longer term, which is, I think, is the same mentality that you ought to have as a retail investor, because one way or the other, NIO is going to dominate this EV industry. This is at least what I believe, because NIO, to me, it has got a good proven record. I mean, in 2020, they reported over 100% in delivery growth rate when comparing to the deliveries they reported in 2019. And in 2021, again, we saw NIO reporting 100% growth rate when it comes to the deliveries they reported in 2020. And guess what? Even this year, NIO expects to report 100% growth rate when you compare to the over 91,000 vehicles they delivered last year in 2021. And guess what? This just simply means that this year, worst case scenario, we can expect NIO to deliver at least 182,000 vehicles this year in 2022, which is something that must make you to remain bullish on this NIO stock. This is something that I think it has to encourage you to load the boat and ignore these short-term headwinds and ignore these sharp falls that we are witnessing into this NIO stock, because this is a stock which is just set to do very well. Otherwise, with all that, guys, NIO is a company that I'm still very bullish on, and I'm happy to see that most or some of the institutions are coming out actually and putting it out there that they are still very bullish onto these Chinese stocks, though we are seeing them dropping, which is something that I believe it should also motivate you to probably continue to be bullish on these Chinese stocks, because they are set to do very well, which is why I'm going to even continue to be more bullish onto the NIO stock, as it is one of the top Chinese stocks trading in the New York Stock Exchange. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that likes button, and if you are new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.